Guys, it's time for part 2 of my Halloween franchise series review. This time we're going to do Rob Zombie's Halloween. So in Rob Zombie's Halloween, director Rob Zombie wanted to remake the Halloween franchise. Originally he never wanted to do any remakes, but Halloween was one of his favorites. And at first he thought, how in the hell could you possibly remake such a classic? But then he thought, you know what? There's a lot of gaps to fill in there, and maybe a story could be told. So in Rob Zombie's Halloween, there's a lot of backstory with Michael Myers, pretty much the first half of the movie. We see Michael Myers in his home life. It's horrible. There's constant chaos and screaming and yelling, and oh my God, it's just so annoying. Right away in this movie, it doesn't feel like Halloween. Something just feels so Rob Zombie about it. We see Michael Myers, he's about 10 years old. He wears this mask around with him, like a clown mask. And he's pretty much a loner, which you could totally buy from the original series. So early on in the movie, we see Michael at school, and we see his mother visiting the principal because Michael has killed some animals and some cats, and the principal is concerned about him. So we're given a lot of backstory, and it's your stereotypical cliche serial killer type stuff. And then we see Michael being bullied constantly, and these kids are just, oh my God. I suppose kids probably talk like that, but the words that are coming out of their mouths is just so disgusting and vile, and again, it just doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. And then we see Michael getting his vengeance on these bullies, and it is well deserved. You see him in the woods, and he is beating the crap out of this guy with the stick. And this is the first time we see Michael Myers as a character start coming to life. So as we all know, Michael kills his sister, and then Michael's admitted to the hospital. And so in these scenes, you see Dr. Loomis and Michael having these one-on-one sessions. And I remember even before this movie came out, I was always interested in those conversations. What did Michael Myers and Dr. Loomis, well, they didn't really say anything to each other because Michael didn't talk in the original series. But I was always wanted to be a fly on the wall in those scenes. How interesting would that be? And you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have never seen what happened because, well, in Rob Zombie's version, Michael Myers talks at first, and you see that there is a dichotomy in his character. He doesn't remember the evil side of him, the killer side of him. And Dr. Loomis quickly realizes this, and so he tries to help him through it. Of course, that doesn't work, and Michael Myers escapes prison 15 years later. And now, here's the problem with Rob Zombie's Halloween, among other problems. We have a pretty much direct remake, but it's almost like a best of type segment of the original Halloween, and not directed nearly as well as John Carpenter. There are a few things that I do like about Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. First of all, I will say Michael Myers looks better than ever. Tyler Mane might be the best Michael Myers since the original. He's huge, but Tyler Mane, he is an actor. You can tell he brings something to this character. And also the mask. They really nailed the mask this time. We haven't had a really good mask since part 6, but really the best mask is the first. And this is probably the best mask we'll see since the first. And I did like the detail in the mask and how it looked all scarred and beat up. And I like that they tried to tell a story of the mask itself and how he obtains the mask. Instead of getting it from the drugstore, the mask stayed there the whole time, and he went back in the house and pulled it up under the floor, which I thought was a really cool idea, and I thought that scene was done pretty well. I also like the cinematography in this movie. It's beautifully lit, it's eerie, and there's a lot of scenes with Michael at night that are pretty eerie and pretty freaky looking. I also thought the end chase scene was done quite well, except for Scout Taylor Compton. Oh my God. She is just constantly yelling and screaming her head off at the end of the movie, and you know, this is what's going to happen when you're a damsel in distress and you're running. But in a movie, you got to give your audience something to play with. But when you're screaming for 20 minutes and your audience just wants to, and you could say that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of does that at the end with the screaming. But I think it worked in that situation because all the characters around her were just as batshit crazy as she was in those scenes. So it all kind of tied together, and you could buy it. I also liked what composer Tyler Bates did with the score. We've had some pretty shitty Halloween themes, especially like Halloween 5 was pretty bad. H2O's theme, when they tried to bring an orchestra in, it was just horrible. But this time around, I actually like what he did with the theme. He kind of breathed some new life into it, which I thought was pretty cool. Outside of that, guys, Rob Zombie's Halloween is just not a good movie. Malcolm McDowell just does not do a great job as Dr. Loomis. And I mentioned this in my Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 review. The same goes with Rob Zombie's Halloween. He just doesn't get the character of Dr. Loomis right. And there's some scenes where he repeats the lines verbatim, but they just don't come off near as well as Donald Pleasance. Also, like I mentioned earlier in the review, the white trash aspect of the movie just does not work in a Halloween movie. The beginning of the movie is just so annoying with the way they're constantly screaming at each other, and it just really just takes you out of the movie. Guys, overall, I would give Rob Zombie's Halloween a humdrum. It's got some enjoyable scenes in it, but it's got some other scenes that are just horrible. I know there are a lot of fans of Rob Zombie's Halloween out there, so chime in and let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, guys, and Humdrum out.